Hey guys, in this video we're going to learn the chant for the Latin number 1, Unus. We're also going to learn some other adjectives that follow the same pattern as the chant for Unus. Now Unus is an irregular adjective. That is, it doesn't follow the normal 2-1-2 masculine, feminine, neuter endings that we've learned for all of our other adjectives. However, that doesn't mean that it's completely irregular. In fact, the chant for Unus is a combination of some of the endings from our normal adjective or noun endings and then some of the endings from the third person pronoun singular forms chant. So let's take a look at those two. Here they are. On the left, you have our first and second declension noun endings arranged the way that we're used to seeing them on the adjective chant. And on the right, we have our third person pronoun singular forms, is, ea, id, that is, he, she, and it. In the nominative, accusative, and ablative cases, Unus is going to follow the pattern of your first and second declension noun endings. So if we add those endings to Unus, we'll get something like this. Unus, una, unum in the nominative, unum, unam, unum in the accusative, uno, una, uno in the ablative. For the genitive and dative cases, we're going to use the endings that come from is, ea, id. So eius, 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 ei, ei, ei. And when we put those on Unus, we end up with something like this. Unius, 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 uni, uni, uni. So when we put these together, we get the full Unus chant. So let's see if we can chant through this going left to right. Unus, una, unum, unius, 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 uni, 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 unum, unam, unum, uno, una, uno. Let's try that one more time. Unus, una, unum, unius, 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 uni, 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 unum, unam, unum, uno, una, uno. Okay, now let's take a look at some other words that follow this same pattern. We call these the Unus NAUTA words. Each letter in that phrase, Unus NAUTA, is the first letter in one of the words, one of the adjectives, that follows this particular pattern. So let's take a look at these words. Unus, of course, means one. The U simply stands for Unus. The N stands for nolus, which means none. The U stands for olus, which means any. And then the S stands for solus, which means only. Nauta, the N stands for neuter, which means neither. The first A stands for alter, which means the other, as in the other of two. Think of alternative, like choosing between two things. The U stands for uter, which means which. The T stands for totus, that means whole, as in totally. And then finally the last A stands for alius, which means another. Now all 9 of these words are going to follow the same chant pattern as Unus. So if you know the Unus chant pattern, you should be able to figure out all the forms for each of these words. Let's take a look at the forms of nolus as an example. Here they are, and you can see that you have the same pattern. The us, ah, in the nominative, the ah, in the accusative, the ah, o in the ablative, and then the same forms all the way across in the genitive and dative. Nolius, 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 noli, noli, noli. So it's the same exact pattern. That's going to be true for all 9 of these words. Okay, guys, that's everything you need to know for Unus and the Unus NAUTA words. The good news is you don't have to memorize the chant for every one of those words. You need to memorize the Unus chant. You need to know the word that each letter in the phrase Unus NAUTA stands for and what that word means. You'll find all of these words in your vocabulary list for this lesson. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.